I'm here to talk about the harm of possession in our community. We've picked up hundreds of thousands of needles and hundreds of thousands of pieces of foil that our county hand out to drug addicts. I think that really just speaks to the drug-friendly and enabling culture we have. There's other major cities that are starting to ban handing that out, especially tent side, without enrolling in programs. So there's some little adjustments we could make to really shift from a drug-friendly city to one where we are a recovery-first city. In terms of harm to women, especially, they're preyed on. I've seen women trafficked. I've seen women be the front people to go in and do retail theft for drug addicts. So there's a very predatory element out there in terms of the culture. When we talk about why it never gets better, Councilman Kettle, it's because we have an inflow crisis. We don't have anything like Proposition F, which San Francisco has. It says if you're going to come to Seattle, you need to pass a drug test for illegal substances before you get your food stamp card and your ABT card. Little things like that are what other major cities and Democratic run cities are doing to kind of create the not drug-friendly culture. My mantra is we have very cheap drugs and free crime, and that's what's creating the havoc we see in our community. I heard a couple people talk about tiny houses and wraparound services. Last time I went into a tiny house, I saw a designated tiny house to use fentanyl. So help me understand how we're stabilizing somebody inside a tiny house village when there's a tiny house designated to smoke fentanyl. Wraparound services aren't required. The whole city is a wraparound service. You can walk out the door and get services. They don't have to be at the village. So don't get sucked into that things get better there. I don't know one person that's graduated from the LEAD program where you can smoke fentanyl in their program. What I do know is when people get arrested and get a clear mind and go to treatment, they get better. Thank you.
My name's Corey Ratliff. I am a drug addict and homeless. And I just want to speak on the fact that it took me 45 days in jail to finally get my mind right, and hold myself accountable. Before that, I was in the streets all the way from Aurora to Tacoma, and I was being enabled from the city with free pipes, free foil, free housing, places that police can't really come in and do anything about. So now we're encouraging and enabling a drug addict and a homeless to be comfortable in that situation. That does not help the situation. What helps the situation is to hold us accountable. If we're slipping in the streets and we're selling dope or we're pimping or we're doing anything that's against the law, hold me accountable, arrest me. Don't give me a slap on the wrist, don't let me go. You know what I'm saying? That time in jail is enough time for me to think, take accountability for what I did, understand that I need to change things, get out, get into places like Hope and Chance or Battlefield for Addiction, start going to work, things like that. These sober living programs are the answer. It was for me. And I still have an older brother who's still actively in addiction, who has no thought whatsoever of getting out of that situation because tiny home villages, housing projects, everything there is comfortable to be homeless and a drug addict. 10 years ago, I couldn't do that. And these days it's so easy to be a drug addict and you're accepted in the city because it's okay. And we're just putting them into a building off the street. So now the city is thinking that it's not a problem anymore. No, it's still an issue. It's not being handled correctly. And I think the best way to do that is hold me accountable.